This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. Senate Committee Room, B 306. This is the Senate of Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
All right, good morning. Happy Monday. Last local government meeting, we have one bill that we had started to take up last meeting. and the patron was not able to be present, so we wanted to give that opportunity. First off, I wanted to recognize we have 2 pages joining us today, so we appreciate your help. If you could, if you don't mind, introduce yourself and where you're from. Go ahead and use the mic.
I'm Grayson Kerwin. I'm from Richmond.
I'm the Hilo Echo County.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. All right. First and last up is House Bill 755. I'm sorry. We'll do a roll call first.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum?
Thank you very much. All right. Delegate Walker, House Bill 755.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I appreciate you taking time to hear this again. I was out last week when this came up, but under the current law, localities can adopt an ordinance to impose penalties against blighted properties up to $3,000 a year or $250 a month. This bill would give localities the option to expand these civil penalties to $6,000 a year or $500 a month only for commercial and industrial properties. The current fines is staggered, with the first violation being capped at a maximum of $50 fine, and additional fines are capped up to a maximum of $200 a day. Under this process, no one would be getting a one-time $6,000 fine for their first violation. Lynchburg has seen a number of bad actors who may not even reside in our city, who buy up commercial and industrial properties and let them sit and waste away. We've seen several blighted properties in major parts of our town where a lot of state and local funds have gone to try to clean these properties up. The neglect of these property owners to address the blighted conditions in their properties only hurts the small businesses that are around them. The code section is just not about cutting grass and cleaning up of waste in the yard. It applies to major industrial waste, machinery, and clutter that sits on properties that localities have to clean up at taxpayers' expense. This bill is about protecting the little guys, the small business owners who are located around these blighted properties and buildings. It would give localities some more teeth to address the blighted parts of our town where small businesses are trying to grow. A number of cities around the Commonwealth have these problems and situations. The bottom line is we're just increasing the fine, trying to get the attention of the property owners. Mr. Chairman, that is the bill before you. I do have somebody, if you would like any additional comments from First Cities, and she represents about 17 other localities. But the bill is pretty simple for you. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Thank you very much. Those in support of House Bill 755?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Laura Bateman representing Virginia First Cities Coalition. Our 17-member cities all are looking for additional tools they can use to help ameliorate blight, help get these properties back on the tax rolls. And so that is why we are very supportive of this bill.
Great, thank you. Those in opposition to House Bill 755? Anyone online?
Mr. Chair, there's no one online at this time.
Great, thank you very much. Questions from the committee. First in the queue is Senator Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, Delegate Walker, I hear you saying this is to help small businesses, but it feels like the way it's drafted, it could really hurt small businesses because we're in theory doubling what they might have to pay. And if it seems like if you're a small business, maybe the reason that we're in this mess in the first place is that you don't have a lot of resources. That might not be universally true, but it seems like a very blunt tool if we're trying to help small businesses, because many of them could get caught up in it. So I guess I wonder if you could just speak to that.
Mr. Chairman, Senator, yes, sir.
Delegate Walker.
Thank you. So these small businesses that I'm talking about, Senator, are existing businesses that are operating. These abandoned buildings or commercial industrial properties are sitting in the same neighborhoods. So when you have small retail businesses that are trying to thrive and grow their businesses, people do not want to come downtown where there's a bunch of abandoned buildings. It's just a negative reflection on our city that we don't care. But at the same time, we're trying to help these small businesses that are operating. So this is more about helping small businesses. These are industrial commercial properties. And these were former businesses that were operated that have been abandoned. A lot of the buildings have their windows broken out. It's just a matter of time before they become a hazard, a fire hazard, or other things. So this is more about protecting the small business existing in those neighborhoods.
Thank you, Delegate Walker. Next in queue is Senator Williams-Graves.
Mr. Chair, Delegate, so what I'm understanding that you're saying is by virtue of these large industrial areas being left unkept and looking like crap, quite frankly, what they are having is a negative impact on the smaller businesses that are around them because they present a negative image for anyone who might be coming to a small business that is doing their very best to abide by the law, keep their property up, make sure that they're in code compliance, and yet they've got this eyesore that is detracting from their small business. Is that an accurate?
Mr. Chairman, Senator, I couldn't have said it better. Yes, Senator, I couldn't have said it better. Lynchburg 50 years ago was almost abandoned downtown. You go downtown now, it's like a city within a city. But in between all of these small businesses are these old buildings that are on their last leg, if you want to look at it from that standpoint. So what you said is exactly right. That's what we're trying to do. And this comes at the request of the city of Lynchburg. So I'm sure there's other localities across the Commonwealth. And I'm not going to get into naming names, but we just need some help. That's what we need to do. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the committee?
Mr. Chair, follow up, please.
Senator Williams-Graves.
Thank you. Just speaking to the bill, having worked in local government and seen a lot of times when buildings have been abandoned and just left, I think it sends a bad message when we do require locally owned businesses to upkeep their property and we do let these corporate folks just walk away and do nothing. They become dumping grounds. A lot of times they are abandoned, they're boarded up, and they just really look like crap. And it doesn't do anything to build the integrity of the area that they're in or the neighborhood. Some of them are industrial in neighborhoods. And so I think that giving the localities the ability to have some teeth in enforcement, everybody pays attention to what comes out of their pocketbook. So giving them that ability, I think is a good thing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Senator Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a question for council because I want to make sure we're talking about the bill that's before us because I don't know that we are. So council, as I read this bill, this is fines for owners of land where they're not cutting grass, weeds, or other foreign growth, including running bamboo. And if you're not doing that, then under this, what we're tweaking in 4C is to say that we're upping the fines for that specific thing. Am I reading that incorrectly, or am I reading that correctly?
Mr. Sharp.
Mr. Chair, it's a little bit broader than the items you mentioned. If you look at subsection C where the new language is, it talks about this section, so it would include any of these items in the section. And A, for example, talks about garbage, litter, refuse, and that sort of thing. So it's broader than just grass and weeds. I'm not sure if I've answered your question.
Well, follow up, Mr. Chair.
Senator Van Valkenburg.
Under what we would be voting on now, would you be upping fines for things like broken windows, deteriorated buildings, and general neglect, or would we be talking about essentially the things that are left on your lawn or your lawn being not kept up?
Mr. Sharp.
Yes, I say potentially you're talking about any of these issues that are listed in this section. Keeping in mind this is a cumulative cap we're talking about also, though not necessarily a the per incident fines remain the same, but it's just the cap that's being raised.
All right, next in queue is Senator Hackworth.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I want to say I appreciate Delegate Walker for bringing this, because I share the sentiments of my
You're
colleague.
speaking to the bill or question?
Speak to the bill, I'm sorry. We have a lot of our towns is, whether they are abandoned or not abandoned, they are not taking care of properties that are affecting small businesses, affecting people coming in. I always say that when somebody comes into our small towns, the first impressions, you never get to do that again. So I think that you have some businesses that are maybe complacent, some businesses that are abandoned, that do not do a good job with keeping up. And also working in local government for a large portion of my life, they give them notices. This isn't just something that they go and give them a bill and say, oh, you didn't mow your grass this month, so here's a bill. They work with them a lot. They send them notices. They try to get them to upkeep their property, and they just ignore them. So this would help give teeth for local governments to be able to say, we've talked to you, we've warned you, we've tried to get you to do this, and you're not doing it. So cumulatively, we're raising that fine from $3,000 to $6,000. I think it's a good bill, and I'd ask this body to support.
Senator Sturvant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just speaking to the bill, as I read it, this bill as well, it's not specific necessarily to blighted properties, but addresses debris, refuse, garbage, trash that I guess is on these specifically limited to commercial and industrial properties that's not being cleaned up, that impacts the way people feel and treat a community and hurts the other businesses that are around it. So I understand that. So I think I'm inclined to support the bill. I would say this is talking about giving localities more authority to fine private entities in certain circumstances. I would just note that I was walking around downtown Richmond over the weekend, and in sidewalks and public areas, there was lots of refuse, and this isn't about your bill, but I guess the point I'm making is there's no way for the public to find the locality when the locality is causing the same sort of problems. So maybe that's something we need to look at, but I appreciate you bringing this bill, Delegate. Thank you.
All right, committee operates by motion.
Move to report. Second.
All right, there's a motion, second to report House Bill 755. Clerk, open the roll.
Ayes 11, noes 2.
That bill reports. Congratulations,
Thank
Delegate
you, Mr.
Walker.
Chairman, members of the committee. I apologize we had to come back together, but this is a real help for our localities.
You got more time than any other patron this entire session. I wanted to thank our staff committee, thank our attorney and our help and through this entire session. So that completes the committee's work. Committee will rise.
The Senate of Virginia, Richmond.